Hi everyone, and welcome to our new YouTube channel. My name's Sean from the Smiling Second Luxury Watches, and we're based here in Melbourne, Australia. I have the insane pleasure of talking to you guys today about Lange Söhne and two of their absolute masterpieces. So Lange Söhne, as many of you guys know, is a German brand that was started by Adolf Lange in 1845. For obvious reasons, that name seems to have fallen a little bit out of popularity of late. Nonetheless, he started the brand and had his sons follow him into it, and therefore we have Lange and Söhne, Lange and Sons. And Lange Söhne was quite successful through till the Second World War, where they were actually making watches for the German pilots. After the Second World War, the brand was actually nationalized and ceased to exist. Luckily, in 1990, Walter Lange brought the brand back to life into the form that we see it today. And they continued their innovation up until 2004, when they released the double split, which is this watch that we've got in front of us today. The other watch we've got is the triple split, and this was released in 2018. Now, both of these watches are chronographs, and chronographs have been quite popular in media, with Rolex's Daytona being one of the most frequently seen.
$500 for a 93 Rolex Daytona. I'll do it.
They even get auctioned quite high, as we've seen in the auctions of late, including the Paul Newman Daytona.
Selling officially at 15,500,000. Thank you for your patience, Natalie. It is history now. 15,500,000.
Lange Söhne has really dug deep into the mechanics and refining and innovations behind the chronograph. Traditionally, a chronograph is a stopwatch. You start it, you stop it, and you get a time. But sometimes you do need to get a lap time, which means that if a race is ongoing and you need to figure out what a specific segment of that race is, well, that's when you use a split-second chronograph, otherwise known as a rattrapante. Now, this is a really big, confusing word that I myself was confused about for a long time, but it is just that. It's a split-second chronograph. If you were at the Olympics and you were watching the 4x100 meter relay, and you wanted to figure out exactly what the times were for each 100 meter split, you would start the chronograph, and then as each runner finishes their 100 meter mark, as they're passing over the baton, you could then click and stop one of the seconds hands of the chronograph. You could then record the time, and then when you're ready, you could then catch it up to the already moving chronograph seconds hand. For the next runner, you'd do the same, and then you'd be able to get all 4 splits for the runners, as well as the total time that it took them to complete the relay. Now, that is all good and well, but there was still the need to be able to time things which went for over a minute. So if each of your laps goes for longer than 1 minute, well, it's really hard to tell if your time was 30 seconds, 1 minute and 30 seconds, or 2 minutes and 30 seconds, because you'd have to remember that yourself. The watch wouldn't tell you. And that's where the double split comes in. The double split, or the double rattrapante, or the double split-second chronograph, tells you the individual lap times for the seconds as well as the minutes. So for example, if you were at the Olympics and you had just gone and seen your 4x100 meter relay, you'd got your split times and you're really happy with yourself, you then moved on to the aquatics venue and you wanted to record the times of the 4x400 meter swimming relay. And you want to time how long it takes each swimmer to complete their 400 meter leg. Now, I'm no swimming expert, but I know that it takes around 3 to 4 minutes to get that done. With this watch, you can start the chronograph when the race starts and let it run through till the first swimmer has completed their 400 meters. You then click this trigger here, which stops the split second and the split minute, and then you let the chronograph run on. It then gives you, again, the same amount of time till it takes the next swimmer to complete their lap. To record that time, click this button again, which will then catch up the seconds and the minutes hand to the running chronograph seconds and minutes. Again, this is an incredible work of art that came out in 2004, and it has that additional functionality. But Lange Söhne then thought, you know what, that is not enough. Being able to record the split seconds and minutes is just, not gonna cut it. And that's where they came up with this one. Lange Söhne are the only people to be able to make a triple split, which is a split-second chronograph that splits the seconds, the minutes, and the hours. While it is an incredible feat of watchmaking, is not that useful. I had to rack my mind to kind of think of situations in when that would be useful, As a doctor and someone who used to be in a few knee replacement surgeries, you could time how long each knee replacement would take throughout your day and then track the total time of them. So 4 knee replacements in a day, each of them going for about an hour and a half each. This would be a great use of this watch. If you were at Le Mans and you wanted to see how long each driver was in the seat during their race turns, well, this would be able to tell that, as well as keeping track of the full time that all the drivers are driving for. Now, is this really necessary? Probably not, but is it an incredible feat of watchmaking? It absolutely is. Now, that only tells half the story though, because while Lange Söhne is incredible about developing these new movements and they're functional and useful, a lot of it is about the case back. And when we have a look into these, we can see why they are so renowned. So Lange Söhne is not part of the Holy Trinity. Some people, like myself, think they do an incredible job of their finishing, and even better than some of the Holy Trinity brands. Each of these movements is built, deconstructed, and then rebuilt again. Moving to the finishing. These watches actually have their movements made out of German silver, as opposed to rhodium plated movements that we typically see. That does add a certain luster to them and adds that much more depth to the movement. Now, this triple split is incredibly complicated and it has 567 individual components to its movement. Now, this watch came out in 2018. It represented new ground for both Lange and watchmaking in general with this innovation of the triple split. This watch specifically in the pink gold with the alligator leather strap and the blue dial is limited to only 100 pieces, which makes it even more rare that we've got it in hand here today. Lange themselves, because they're doing hand finishing to the movements, because they're double assembling them, they only make 5,000 watches a year. So to have this and this both here together today is a real pleasure for me. Now, you're probably wondering, with all of this creativity and innovation, where do these lie on the price point spectrum? Well, the double split, which is in brand new condition, we have for around the 170,000 Australian dollar price point, and the king of the chronographs, the triple split, we have for around the 240k price point. Now, that is a lot of money, and you're probably asking yourself, $240,000 seems a bit expensive for a watch where you've probably never asked yourself, hey, I need to time this and I need to split my hours. Well, if you buy this, you can actually do it, unlike any other watch in the market today. So if you want to know anything more about these watches, or if you actually want to pick one of these up or any of the other watches that we've got in stock, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, and shoot us a DM to find out more.